So, Obi,
Yes.
do tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a trainee reader, so which year are you in?
I'm in my third year.
Okay, does that mean that you're going to be licensed as a reader this year?
Yes, I'll be licensed in June.
How exciting.
Very exciting.
Okay, so tell us a bit about yourself in terms of where you're from, the parish you're from, what you do for a living, family situation. Just fill me in about that, please.
I am a reader. I'm based in, my home parish is in Stevenage in Broadwater, St. Peter's Church in Broadwater. I've been going to St. Peter's since I moved to Stevenage, which was in 2008, and I started attending that parish. And it was from there, a few years later, that I decided to embark on reader training. I am an accountant by profession. I'm married, and I have a daughter who's 6 years old, and my wife is a scientist. And so that's in a nutshell myself. I started my reader training after we had a new vicar come to St. Peter's. And because when I joined St. Peter's, I was involved in a lot of the prayer team. I was a part of the prayer team, and we used to have prayer sessions and discussion groups before we start praying. And from there, I think somebody must have noticed that I used to share quite a bit on scriptures. And when we had a new vicar, he at some stage asked if I would mind giving a talk in the service one of these Sundays, and I obliged, and I had a short talk one Sunday. And then I had been praying myself about where God was leading me as an individual, what my call was, and what He really wanted me to do, what my gifts were, and how I could best serve the Lord as a Christian. And I had a discussion with my vicar, and he asked me, have I ever considered being a reader? And it wasn't something I'd ever sort of thought about, but I decided to explore it further. It told me to go to see the vocational advisor for the deanery, which I did, and I went on a course called Seeking the Way. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I haven't.
But it's a course where if you want to sort of find out what your vocation is as a Christian, or where you might be led, you can go and attend. And it was a 3-week course, went on it, and by the time I finished that, I was more than ever convinced that God was calling me to be a reader.
Wonderful. So do you remember the first reader you ever came across, and what you made of them the first time you saw them?
Yes, the first reader that I would say I remember was the reader in my church, St. Peter's, Richard. And he was, because at the time I joined, we had a period of vacancy at St. Peter's. The incumbent vicar had left, and we had a vacancy. And Richard was one of the elders who had sort of taken over leading services and, just basically keeping the church going and taking over. He was who actually did the baptismal service for my daughter, or the Thanksgiving service, because it was the Thanksgiving service that we had in the church there for my daughter. So I had a lot of interaction with him then over that period. And one of the things about Richard was just his way. He in St. Peter's he does a lot of work with the elderly. He goes out and within Stevenage there and goes out to meet the elderly people, leads services for them, Bible studies and things like that, supports them in so many ways. And he just has a heart just to serve, people in the community. And, just seeing his life and the way he's conducted himself and how he's well loved within St. Peter's was something that was quite encouraging to see. And like I said, by just dealing with him, when we did my Thanksgiving, all the work he did and how encouraging he was, and just going through all the time with him was really quite wonderful to have experienced. And yes, he sort of inspired me to. Well, at the time, like I said, I hadn't considered where my own calling was. I was just there, but yes, he was my first.
That's good to hear. So, what would you say you've gained from doing this last 3 years of training?
I have gained so much. I personally have always been somebody who has had a desire to want to speak God's word, God's mind, God's heart to people. And much as I've grown up with the desire, I've studied the Bible ever since I've been a Christian. One thing I just couldn't put down was my Bible, and I've done a lot of Bible study, and I've grown up as a Christian. But coming on the course and doing some of the modules that we did, sort of has expanded my understanding about a lot of things. I mean, some of the modules we did on church history and doctrine, the one working with children, because it's just sort of ministering to children. I think that and then again preaching, just how to expand and communicate God's word to people and the different ways you could do that. I mean, such a blessing to me. I've learned so much from the course over the past years. My interacting with my colleagues on the course, also experiencing the different traditions within the Church of England, because the Church of England is quite varied with its traditions, and there is not, we don't all, how come from different sort of tribes, as you might call them, but that ability to be able to come together, even though we might have these different, differences, but still come together, learn together, and have a bit more insight into how things are done in other parishes has been quite a big help.
Okay.
Yes.
So, in what ways would you say your training has made a difference to you already, in terms of your understanding of the church and your ministry?
Well, like I said, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, the way that the Church of England actually functions. It's made me understand that to be effective as a reader, I have to be able to meet people where they are. If I say I want to sort of communicate God's mind and God's heart to people, and as a reader, I'm not just going to stay in my parish. My parish might have its own, tradition, but I should be aware that I could go out to other parishes. And if I'm going to be able to be that flexible to meet other, go to other parishes and to serve God in those parishes, I have to be able to understand a lot more about, where the traditions are, their foundations are. So that's been helping. Coming on the course has, helped me to gain a lot more understanding about the Church of England and and how it functions, just to help me to serve God better.
Sure.
As a reader.
So what are you looking forward to? I mean, you will be licensed in only 2 or 3 months' time. What are you looking forward to doing most?
Preaching.
Preaching.
Okay. That is what my call is. I know that the reason why I came on the course was that I want to stand to speak. Like I said, speak God's heart, speak God's mind. Bring out the truth of the gospel, and then encourage and serve people. Have that pastoral care to encourage people. One thing I am very passionate about is getting people to know God personally for themselves, to have a personal relationship, to interact with the Word of God, and to build that relationship. So whether you're a child or you're an adult, wherever you are, that's what I'm encouraged of. I believe I'm called to do, and so I'm looking forward to when I get licensed, being able to go out and fulfill that role and that call. To serve God with the gifts that I have been given, yes, just really, the licensing. What it does for me is that it gives me that platform, to go out there, licensed by the bishop, by the church, by the archbishop, to go out and serve. And so that's really what I look forward to.
Thank you very much indeed. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.